Communications breakdown. It's always the same. Communication breakdown. Drive me insane. Led Zeppelin. In 1969, Led Zeppelin released their first untitled album, which included the song Communication Breakdown. That spring, I was in my first year at the University of Calgary and volunteered for the student newspaper, The Gauntlet. We typed stories on manual typewriters, used carbon paper to make copies, used whiteout or correction tape to fix errors. Our office in the Student Union building had an old rotary dial phone, but no fax machines or printers. One of the graduate students at the paper headed off to England to continue his research on the development of voice recognition software, something we believed unlikely to be completed in our lifetime. I spent most of that semester learning to play bridge, smoking pot and hashish. A few years after I quit university, I worked as an immigration officer at the Canada-U.S. border. Every morning, hundreds of teletypes arrived from U.S. police agencies, complete with the names and descriptions of suspected drug traffickers for our customs people to prohibit from entering our country. If customs identified a suspicious party and needed information about outstanding warrants or convictions, we telephoned the local RCMP detachment, who would in turn contact Ottawa by telephone to run their name through the central computer database. Because the RCMP computers lacked online connections between major centers, often an hour or more would elapse before Ottawa got back to the local detachment, if at all, and an officer called us back. In 1980, I moved to the Northwest Territories. To stay in touch, I spent hundreds of dollars each month making long-distance telephone calls down south. I enrolled in what I mistakenly believed was an introductory computer course at the local college, but soon discovered the course, Basic for Computers, taught BASIC, the computer programming language that Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, had written. In 6 weeks, I learned how to write a computer program that printed my name on large perforated sheets on a dot matrix printer. A few months later, I bought my first personal computer. By the time I returned south in the mid-'80s, PCs had replaced typewriters and word processors. Every office had a laser printer and fax machine. Pagers and Blackberries buzzed constantly, and cell phones rang and beeped continuously. In 1987, I completed an associated diploma in computer systems management, the start of a 30-year career in information technology. I programmed, supported, and offered consulting services to dozens of organizations. A large part of my work involved troubleshooting communication systems to help companies implement best practices. For over a year, I contracted to a global telecommunications company building a worldwide fiber optic network. In 2010, I moved to Powell River, a small community on the BC coast. 5 years later, a local internet service provider wired the entire town with fiber optic cable. I immediately signed up. I purchased a small property on a nearby island and looked for a computer company to offer adequate internet service. After unsuccessfully trying 2 providers, I settled on Elon Musk's Starlink service, but owing to the location, my cellular service is still pretty spotty. To save money, I exchanged my home telephone landline in 2023 for a wireless home phone offered by my cell phone company. Problems began 4 months ago. Most incoming callers and I had to endure what sounded like a shrill fax tone whenever they called. I needed to shout over the squealing bleeps and then have callers hang up and redial before their call would connect properly. To troubleshoot, I called the company's telephone support services through a virtual assistant using voice recognition to help me. Most of the time, she kept telling me how my questions could be answered online, but ignored my request to connect me with a human. Of course, none of her online suggestions helped, and I would need to book a callback which, if it arrived at all, Usually took over an hour. The technician who called back would ask me the reason for my call, ask security information to look up my account details. After my attempts to get them up to speed, they would transfer me to another department, resulting in another long wait on hold with more hold music. None of the several technicians could solve my problem. Eventually, I was told my device likely caused the errors, so I should take it to a local phone store to test the hardware. I did this, but at the store, the clerk couldn't find a telephone cable to connect the device and couldn't test it. Another round of calls, more waits, the same awful music, more repeated explanations. Fed up, I told the company I wanted to cancel my service and go back to my old landline, but keep my phone number. I was transferred immediately to their loyalty department. When I asked if they could send me a replacement device, I was told they were no longer available. Well, what do new customers do, I asked. Well, we no longer offer that service, was the reply. It never worked that well. Well, don't I know it? I want to cancel, I shouted. No problem, I'll transfer you to our customer care department. Another transfer, another wait, but finally someone who could solve my problem, or so I thought. The transfer began 2 weeks ago, which meant several more online encounters with more friendly but useless AI assistants, who eventually would connect me to a support team member, but often the wrong one, which led to more transfers, more holds, and more of the same music. Twice I had to use my cell phone to take photos of my driver's license and a selfie and upload them to secure a release from one company to allow the other company to complete the transfer. 24 hours later, the permission expired, the transfer wasn't done, and I got to repeat the process. The company assigned a temporary number to my new landline, but it would not connect to my phone and give me a dial tone. 2 days ago, we booked an appointment for a technician to come to the house and resolve the issue. After that, we would attempt the transfer again. This morning, the technician got the line working. After he left, I dialed the temporary number. My phone rang. I left a voicemail, but when I went to retrieve it and entered my password, it didn't work. Now I'm back on the line with support. I've convinced my AI assistant, who I've named Helpless Helen, to connect me to a living entity. 2 days ago, I spent another 4 hours on the phone. Today, it's only been 3. Most of it on hold, and I'm being shuffled from team to team. I'll never forget my PIN. I can recite my cellular and home services account numbers forwards and backwards, but the music's driving me crazy. The last agent assured me everything's progressing as it should, but she just put me on hold because she's on hold herself, waiting to connect to the right co-expert who she's certain can help me resolve everything. If nothing else, I've gotten used to multitasking. I just finished lunch, started the dishwasher, finished Wordle on my iPad, got it in 3 today, and I've been thinking, why don't you come over? Knock on the door, I'll put the coffee on. We can wait together. I'm sure I can dig out that old Led Zeppelin album before you get here.